Good morning, everybody. I think we'll give people about 5 more minutes to join.
Thanks, Caleb.
Do we have anyone who'd like to volunteer to take notes?
In a pinch, I can.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What were you saying, Jace?
Oh, I said in a pinch I can. I'm deathly ill, so I don't know how good my notes will be.
Well, hopefully we'll get another volunteer. Yeah, fix up these sections here. Starting 3rd of August.
Caleb, I would have done, but I'm in the train. Probably next time I would love to take the notes down.
Okay, thanks, Radhika. When we get started, Ihor, would you mind driving the screen as we go through the features for 1.8? I'm on my Linux box and I have not had success with screen sharing from there. Well, I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Well, I guess I can't. It doesn't believe I am the meeting host.
I see an indicator that says we've been recording the whole time. I don't know if that's true or not.
Okay, well, let's trust the blinking red ball then.
So someone has to know how that's happening, or it'll never get posted, right?
Yeah, it very well me recording. If it is, it's probably going to the cloud, and I'll have to download and then put them back up to YouTube, which I need to do for the last meeting anyway. So I'll check after the meeting. Okay. Good morning again. Today is August 3rd, 2017, and we are here to look at the feature issues for 1.8. And as Aaron noted, there are 61 open issues according to GitHub and 39 entries in the feature tracking spreadsheet. Perhaps Ihor, you could give a quick readout on that. Do we have you on the line, or can you hear us?
I see no Ehor.
Oh, that's problematic.
Oh, wait.
Oh, I see an Ihor.
I think he's on the session, but he's not responding.
Yeah, he is muted and with no camera. Let me ping him on Slack. But do you have anything to say, Aaron?
Not really. I apologize. Like, I'm kind of jumping in here to be informed about what the plan is for what's going in 1.8. Mostly as a release team member and as somebody who wants to share this information with the rest of my company internally, just to give them a heads up. So I guess I'm kind of like not sure what the source of truth is here. So I would like to come out of this meeting with that question answered, as well as what the final list is. I know we said that the feature freeze deadline was August 1st. We're past that. So my question is, like, is everything that made it in, or are we using this meeting to determine what if anything is getting kicked out, or that sort of thing? So, right, outcomes. What's the source of truth? What's the list?
I think unfortunately, Ehor owns both of those items as the feature owner for this release. Still trying to raise him on Slack. On Slack.
So what I recommend is that we go through the repo and look through the issues. As far as the source of truth, it should be the features repo. And we should give a readout of like a summary of what we believe is in the features repo at the community meeting. And also just reiterate that the feature close has come and gone. So if features aren't in there, we won't be taking additional features unless they're, go through an exception process.
Okay, thanks, Aparna. We can go through the list of features for the release. Do we have a PM representative from API Machinery? And I guess we still need someone to share a screen. We're not all flying here in the dark.
Yeah, we should probably, and if we don't have PM reps, we should still go through the features just as is.
That sounds fair. Aparna, can you drive the screen part of that?
I cannot. But the other thing we should look at is, given that it's a stability release, we should kind of put a little bit more scrutiny as we go through each SIG on how many features are beta versus alpha.
It seems fair.
see. I'm going to get my system set up so that I can share my screen here. Just give me a second. Do we want to look at just issues in the 1.8 milestone then, and not worry about next milestone or ones that aren't yet marked?
Yeah, we just want to look at the 1.8 milestone. Ihor, you're still muted, which is why we can't hear you if you are talking.
Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. So do we want to go by SIG then and just run down the list?
It sounds good. We can.
Okay. Do you want to start with SIG auth since?
Sure, it's at the top. Sure.
Okay, so what we got here?
Do we have our PM rep from SIGAuth?
I don't know.
Sounds like not.
All right. So SIG API machinery would be the next one probably. Well, I'm just going to go through these very unscientifically, and we'll just get the ones.
Just a question. So the source of truth problem continues to be an issue. It's been an issue pretty much every release.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little worried that we still have all this stuff in the spreadsheet, and we're going through. We're not making progress on converging the spreadsheet to what's here, and I'm worried that going through all this content is not actually going to solve that critical issue.
So I understand, Bob, and I agree. I think what I'm finding as I'm deep in the release process is that a lot of these things that develop on the side are simply ways to keep sane as a release team member. And I think in some ways we need to differentiate what's necessary for an individual's workflow versus what's necessary for the release workflow. For example, I have my own Kanban board that's completely outside of the release, but if somebody looked at it, they might think it was a source of truth for what all the things that need to be done. So I think as we move forward, one of the things I'd like to see brought up in the retrospective and in future releases is what are the tools necessary to do the job, and what are the necessary tools to convey the information to the public?
Yeah, I would echo that. I think that a lot of what I see the spreadsheet used for these days is sort of status as an issue moves through the release process, and we just don't have the automation in place to do that with GitHub today. Would it look like a bunch more labels? Would it look like a project board? Would it look like continually updating the feature comment, things of that nature? And that requires sort of a significant upfront investment.
Yeah, agreed.
But I think to the question of source of truth is the features repo.
Right, agreed. So for SIG-Node, Caleb?
Sorry, just a quick clarification. The spreadsheets that come from the features repo, is that correct?
Yes, but it's not done automatically. And most of the documentation most of the release documentation references the features spreadsheet. So I guess many people during the release cycle are conditioned to use that spreadsheet rather than the features repo, the issues in the feature repo itself.
Yeah, like a great example. I mean, we're looking at the GitHub UI here for issues, right? But in the aggregate, it's so much easier to look at a spreadsheet to track the status of the entire set of features and where they are within the release. But again, we're all saying the same thing. It's a simplification, it's a visualization, it's a view. Source of truth is features repo.
Right. Okay, let's move on.
All right. So SIG-Node, anybody, Caleb, you could do it, I'm sure, but would you prefer somebody else to it?
No, I think that is my thing to do.
Cool.
Excuse me. So we've got for 1.8, it is mostly about stability or extensibility of node components. So the first issue at the top of your view also, this is just to add make the node problem detector more configurable. And I still need to so that's doesn't have a design proposal for it, but that is just some P0 work that will happen in this cycle, hopefully. The node problem detector is deployable to clusters to alert you to issues like kernel lockup. And so adding some more options for configuration there. The second one this is a feature that there's still some back and forth going on. There's no design proposal for it either. It was a back and forth between cluster lifecycle and SIG node on a linked issue there. But this is in support of self-hosted Kubernetes. So this is checkpointing to checkpoint the pod state and possibly other things like config maps and secrets. This is a feature for providing better quality of service guarantees. And so there's a link to the PR there. But this is basically allowing pods to have better guarantees around their CPU scheduling on the node.
And could you comment on when a feature is alpha? Otherwise, I mean, if it's beta or stable, we don't need to comment. But if it's an alpha feature, if you could comment on whether it's supporting another beta or stable feature, or it's truly alpha.
Yeah, this is supporting some ongoing work that I believe is in beta about improving the quality of service guarantees. There's been a long ongoing effort for SIG node. It's primarily driven by Derek at Red Hat. Monitoring support for hardware accelerators. This is new, so it's alpha, but the GPU support itself is itself in an alpha beta stage. So this is just adding better monitoring for hardware accelerators, particularly GPUs.
What does monitoring mean in that context?
I believe it was just additional logging, but I have to follow up with the node work planning for 1.8. But it's
this is Chris, I can comment.
Okay.
There's basically zero monitoring for GPUs today. I think the big one was metrics collecting and health of the individual GPUs. So potentially adding it to cAdvisor to collect general metrics on the health, like the heat and any arbitrary things that NVML can spit out about what's going on with each individual GPU. And this plays in similarly to what's going on with the device plugin, because some of this might just be captured within each vendor's device plugin as well.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand like what the consumable output here would be. It sounds like you're saying like cAdvisor stuff or maybe Heapster or something.
Yeah, just metrics that can be collected by Prometheus or whatever your metrics or instrumentation du jour is.
Cool. CRI validation test suite. This is that does what it sounds. This is a test suite to help CRI people who are trying to develop a CRI compliant runtime ensure that it works without having to run through the full end-to-end tests. And it's hopefully making it stable in this release. Containerd, actually this should be targeting beta for 1.8, I believe. And this is improving on the existing integration that was delivered for the 1.7 cycle. Containerd is the insides of Docker Engine. No, but apparently Don believes it's still alpha, so never mind. I take it all back. But the big goal is for the cycle is to ensure that all the conformance tests are passing for the container integration. Dynamic kubelet configuration. Lots of people have wanted this to be able to reconfigure the kubelet easier. But this is an alpha feature, so we can not talk about it all that much.
And at the end, can you give a summary of how many or what percentage of SIG node features are alpha, and then also what the major themes are coming out of this?
Yeah, I can do that. Most of the things are going to be alpha but continuing work from the last couple of releases. They just haven't reached their stability targets yet.
Yeah, just in the aggregate, we've got 34 alpha features, 16 beta features, and 8 stable features if all of the tags or all the labels are accurate.
Awesome. Yeah, which is, yeah.
Kind of seems counterproductive to our initial goal that we would have more stable and beta things, but I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of this stuff is ongoing work that SIG node had been doing. The containerd stuff, the dynamic kubelet configurations bounced around for a while. GPU support already exists, but needs more functionality to be more useful. Checkpointing is really new, but it's unclear how much that will land in 1.7. Containerized mounts, there's a bunch of so this is mostly for operating systems like Container Linux or Container OS from Google or Atomic Host from Red Hat, where it is difficult to ship user space mount tools in the operating system, and trying to have some actual blessed way of doing that. Debug containers, this is, another alpha thing, but it would be allowing you to, and this I need to follow up with the details on, but it is what it sounds like, being able to schedule a container that allows you to debug a pod that is running. And this is largely for large production users of Kubernetes that don't want to ship all the debugging tools in their production container images. This relates to the CPU manager stuff, the quality of service guarantees. And Lucas just chimed in that pod checkpointing supports a beta feature. Priority preemption, this is improving the eviction, at least on the node side. I believe this is improving how eviction works when pods are evicted due to, I believe it's memory pressure, at least for this cycle. And this is so the monitoring for hardware accelerator supports this, support for hardware accelerators, which has been in for a while, and it's kind of bounced around back and forth. There was some work that went in for 1.6, I believe, basic GPU support, which contributed, and improvements and generalization of that feature. SecComp, this also looks like it needs to be migrated over to the new format, but from the node side, this would be, I believe, enabling some SecComp profiles by default in 1.7, or 1.8, sorry. And same with pod security policy, and those are both about improving the user experience with working with our pod security features. So it's
These
just
two explicitly are advancing features that have been in the product for a long time to beta, so I don't think it's better new features in either case.
And so it's so in terms of stability, it's pod security policy, SecComp, and monitoring for GPUs with all hardware accelerators are really moving the things that have been in Node components for a while, but needs more work on it. And the themes are extensibility with the containerd integration, the CRIO integration, which they have reached 1.0 there, and the CRI test suite that will help future CRI developers validate their runtimes.
Thanks, Caleb. SIG storage looks, well, let's do SIG cluster lifecycle next. There's going to be some duplicates because there's multiple SIGs assigned, so we can just skip over those, unless there's some specific component. Anybody from cluster lifecycle here?
Yeah, given the time, we should just skip over any duplicates.
Yep.
I think Lucas is here.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Cool. So the first one, yeah, pod checkpointing in the kubelet. So basically, we need this if we want to be able to restart a self-hosted cluster. Bootkube has also their own custom user space version of checkpointing, but we want to build it in the kubelet in a generic and generic way that you can opt in to have any pod checkpointed, and it's an alpha feature supporting a beta thing.
Great.
And yeah, we want to have a new upgrade strategy that basically right now, as we know with daemon set upgrades, it removes one pod and adds one. It removes one old pod and adds one new after that. But this order is problematic when we do a self-hosted cluster, because if we have one API server pod, remove that one, then we have nothing really left. So instead, we want to add the new API server first, and then after that, remove the old one. And the same goes for scheduler and the controller manager. I'll let Justin speak for that one.
Yeah, we're going to be continuing our work on bare metal support in COPS so that we'll be able to target bare metal, trying to get into alpha, I guess. And we are continuing to put together a server mode for COPS using the excellent API machinery API server thing, so an aggregated API server that will run COPS. And we're going to try to clean up our GCE support, get it so that I think the big blocker that's left is the networking mode is still the same as KubeUp, and I think everyone's trying to move it to use the real GCE networks, more like AWS subnets.
And then multi-master/AJ is one of the most requested features for kubeadmin. I don't think this will make the release. We're not, it might, but it might not as well. It's still unclear. We'll know that in a couple of weeks. But anyway, we have a work in progress design, and we'll at least ship a design doc that will implement in 1.9, if not possible in 1.8. And as part of the kubeadm adoption working group, we have a features issue for more extensible configuration and invocation of kubeadm. Basically, what it does right now is, well, we have two commands, init and join, and it's an all or nothing thing. And we'd like it to be more composable. So instead, you can just run one function like generate certificates or generate kubeconfig files or control plane, manifests, etc. And this is really useful for adopting kubeadm. Like, for example, GKE will use this when it's available, and everything's moved over. The long-term plan is at least make other deployment more higher level deployments use kubeadm. Yep. And one of the major themes in this release is upgrades, along with self-hosting. So basically, we'll ship a kubeadm upgrade command that can be used for upgrading a Kubernetes or kubeadm cluster really easily. And it's already possible, since kubeadm went to beta in 1.6, it was possible to upgrade with one command to 1.7, but that was not really, like, it worked, but it wasn't user-friendly. So now we're adding a dedicated command for it. And I've worked since 1.2 on multi-platform support for Kubernetes. The only thing that's left is getting GCR support, Docker API v2 schema 2, and that has been a long-standing thing. As I requested adding that support a year ago, but it hasn't still showed up from their side, although it's in the release notes. Anyway, I hope it's coming. We'll see if we can make that feature beta in 1.8. It depends on whether GCR adds support or not. And kubeadm, as you know, you can join a kubeadm cluster easily with one token. This token is temporary and called Bootstrap tokens, the core functionality, and we'd like to move Bootstrap tokens to beta in 1.8. And also, as many of us know, we're trying to get cloud providers move out of tree and support, like, we hope that this will make beta in 1.8, but it's hard to set a bar for this, because, well, we'll still discuss if it should make be still in alpha in 1.8 or graduate to beta. Not entirely clear, but it depends. I mean, the core functionality there should be pretty stable and work. I mean, we have, for example, Oracle is working on their total out of tree cloud provider, and Rancher has one, and I don't know if DigitalOcean also has one. But the problem is we can't really move out the existing ones until we have CSI. So this is kind of waiting for CSI to happen, unfortunately.
It's still alpha, if that's a stability feature.
Yeah, Justin, did you have something to say about that? I don't know. Or shouldn't we cover alpha features at all?
About add-on management, sorry. Add-on management, yeah, we're ongoing discussions. We're still sort of designing it and iterating on the design, but there may be some progress happening there, although we shall see.
All right, moving right along to
About storage. You know, they've got a fair number. Do we have a PM rep from storage on the line? Sounds like no.
All right.
But
Do a summary for storage in terms of how many alpha, and then just kind of go through a little bit.
Can do that.
I think the big thing You may want, there's like a labels drop down. Maybe that would help to grab just the alpha or the beta stuff.
Looks like one.
But we don't know anything about that. I guess it's just instructive to see that there's only one thing moving to beta. There are probably several things targeting stable in terms of storage plugins,
Yeah.
if I had to guess.
Do we want to look at those, or should we just move on?
I don't have a real preference. I guess in the interest of time, we'll just move on.
Yeah.
I think we should look at how many stable versus alpha.
Where? So let's see, labels, alpha. That would
So
be
9 alpha.
9 alpha and, oops, let's see. Let's take that off. Oh, did I just
Oh, you want the other labels?
die? Oh.
Oh, you already got the milestone.
Sorry, I'm blaming
Yeah.
this on having salmonella.
I think that's totally fair. I think you want to type in beta there.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so
And
that's
one beta.
and then stable. Is there a stable label?
Yep. If you just type stable, yeah, and you can drop off the other one.
Yeah.
And nothing moving to stable? Oh, okay, it's an and, sure. So 4 stable, 9 alpha, and 1 beta is the breakdown for SIG storage.
Somebody keep track of that somewhere. Parnan, did you write that down?
You can extract. I'll follow up and give a breakdown by SIGs after this meeting, and I'll paste it in the notes.
Okay. Thanks, Caleb. That's helpful.
Yep. And let me write down that I said I would do that.
I think SIG scheduling. Is there anybody from SIG scheduling present? Looks like 2 alphas, 1 beta for SIG scheduling. Looks like not. Let's see, SIG apps. Anybody from SIG apps present? Nope. 2 alphas, 1 unknown. Oh, that's 2 alphas, 2 betas. Okay. SIG network. Anybody from SIG network present?
Yes.
Great.
So that one just got added. So yeah, we should have expected 33.33% repeating of course alpha features, but this GCE one, I guess this is specific to GCE. This must have just came in. Ingress support for security policy. To be honest, I don't have too much context on this one. I'm not sure if it got discussed a lot during the meeting.
Well, there were 2 things that are going into beta that are probably interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, those 2 things going to beta are owned by myself. So first is CIDR selectors, being able to specify CIDR on network policies. First being added to Ingress, since it's the one that we support currently. And once this feature goes in, then we can support the next feature, which is egress policies, since most people seem to want to utilize egress policies for CIDRs, just blocking access to certain groups of IPs. And that's basically it for those. Those are both, it's kind of like a feature stability of beta, but it's being added to V1 in the newer supported way. I think that's actually, it looks like Jordan's on we were originally intended to do this in an annotation, but that kind of has usability / a lot of workaround type of things in order to put something in an annotation, but still have it present in a field in the V1 unversioned field. So we're going to go with the label and place it in there. It shouldn't change. We just want to have some test out of the slider functionality. And the egress one is just the same. And then IPVS was the one alpha feature I was expected. This is the new kube proxy option. And that should be it. There's a lot of things that are being discussed in design proposals being worked on, like IPv6, as well as multiple networks, just noodling about what we want to do with those two things.
Great, thank you, Christopher.
You're welcome.
Let's see, SIG CLI looks like it's next in this list. Anybody from CLI? Nope. SIG Azure, I can respond to this one. This is I don't know, these sort of breakout features are always weird as far as if they're alpha, beta, or stable, but this is essentially a plan to provide the ability to read in certs from Key Vault to encrypt etcd secrets.
Cool.
Hey, so we're running out of time on the schedule here, and I've got at least one meta question here, and it's really, perhaps it's oriented towards the release team folks here. We're kind of going through this list, even with the questions that Parna was asking about. Hey, can we get a breakdown of I don't know, GA versus alpha versus beta? It feels like this is such an incomplete picture with regards to a whole bunch of work that may be going on to the release that I don't really know how we're going to assess the goal of the release to be more stability oriented. It feels like almost all of the real work that may be going on there is completely missing from this view.
Bab, I think that's fair. Let's discuss that, have the meta discussion in the community meeting. I would like to use the time here to go through what's in the features repo and give the summary, and we can then have the meta discussion.
Okay, I think this is becoming a charter issue for this group, for the SIG, in terms of what and how we're supposed to interact with the rest of the project around this kind of thing.
I'm inclined to agree with you, Bob. Oh, Justin had a question. What example of this work that is not tracked in the features repo?
What is an example of this secret work?
Bob,
can you prepare a summary for the community meeting later today?
No way. You're not. That's a huge problem.
No, not a summary of this work, just a summary of your input about this being a charter issue.
Sure, I can do that. I think I'm a little hesitant to dive into into complaining in the main community meeting about something that I don't really have a prepared, it's the complain without having a suggestion for how to fix it thing. I'm certainly willing to give that a little bit of thought, provided that there's some additional support from some folks who think that this is an issue we're facing.
Yeah. Do we want to create a thing in the mailing list, and then by next week's community meeting have something to say about it and bring it up as a topic? I'm happy to help with this. I agree. Yep. Sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt. It's the tooling here. Delay on the tooling. We have another SIG PM meeting on Tuesday, correct?
I don't think so.
I
This was meant to be the off week because of the CNCF TOC meeting, which would make next week the on meeting.
Yep, we do have an on meeting there. So yeah, we can talk about it there and then report out to the community meeting. If that sounds good.
That would be my proposal.
Okay, sounds great to me. We'll sync up afterwards and we can figure out a plan there.
All right.
Thanks, Bob.
Which actually brings us to time, unfortunately.
All right. Well, then we'll visit your policy or the policy discussion or whatever that is, Bob, next week. And then for now, is Caleb, you're signed up to summarize the sort of breakdown of beta, stable, and alpha.
Yep.
And are you going to read that out at the community meeting today? Is that enough time, or do you want to table that till next week?
I would probably prefer to table it until next week, so so we can talk about it in context with the charter issues.
Okay.
Does that work? Is that okay, Aparna?
I mean, I think we should flag the topic.
Right, but I guess like I don't believe I have time to prepare anything before this meeting today. Other than just to highlight that it is a potential challenge. I think to Bob's point about unsignaled work has certainly been a challenge before in previous releases, particularly in 1.6. But I agree that it's a charter issue.
We should give the that's fine. I'm happy to raise it.
Okay, cool. Well, I will try. As soon as I have a draft, I'll paste it into the notes and I'll shoot it past you, Parna. And we can talk about it a little bit, if that sounds good.
Cool, thank you.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, for coming. And I guess I will see most of you at the community meeting in a few hours.
Thanks.
Thanks all.
Thanks for driving, Jace.
You bet.